So you're staring at a new project spec and you're wondering, do I need a PLC, a DCS, or SCADA? Or maybe all three? If you've ever been confused about when to use what, you're definitely not alone. After 35 years in the field, this is probably the most common question I get. Hello everyone, Alana here. Today, I'm going to give you a practical framework for making this decision, plus I'll share the mistakes I see people make all the time. Now before we dive in, let me be clear about something. These aren't mutually exclusive choices. In many plants, you'll see all three working together. But understanding what each one does best, that's your key to making smart decisions. We'll look at each system's sweet spot, when to choose what, and I'll give you some real-world examples that'll make it all click. Let's start with PLCs, programmable logic controllers. Now traditionally, PLCs were your discrete control workhorses, things that are either on or off, start or stop. But here's what's changed in the last decade. Modern PLCs can do way more than just digital logic. Today's PLCs handle complex analog control, advanced math functions, even predictive algorithms. The line between what a PLC can do and what you traditionally needed a DCS for, that line is getting pretty blurry. I've seen recent projects where PLCs are running sophisticated process control that would have required a DCS 10 years ago. Advanced PID control, cascade loops, even some basic model predictive control. It's all happening in PLCs now. They're still cost effective, and here's the big advantage. You can find technicians who know how to work on them in just about any town. But now they're handling much more complex applications than ever before. Now DCS, distributed control systems. If PLCs were traditionally your workhorses, DCS systems were your thoroughbreds, built specifically for continuous process control. DCS systems were designed from the ground up for analog control, temperature, pressure, flow, level. They excel at complex control strategies like cascade control, feed-forward, advanced process control algorithms. The traditional DCS sweet spot was continuous processes that needed tight, sophisticated control. Oil refineries, chemical plants, power generation, pulp and paper mills. But here's where it gets interesting. The modern landscape is changing this too. Today's DCS systems are becoming more modular, more flexible, and some vendors are blurring the line from their end too. You're seeing DCS-like capabilities in smaller, more affordable packages. Okay, let's address the elephant in the room. The clear-cut differences I just described? They're not as clear-cut as they used to be, and this confuses a lot of people. Modern PLCs can handle sophisticated analog control that would have required a DCS 15 years ago. And DCS vendors are offering more modular, cost-effective solutions that compete directly with high-end PLCs. I've been on projects recently where we spent weeks debating PLC versus DCS, and honestly, either one could have done the job. The decision came down to factors like existing infrastructure, maintenance capabilities, and long-term strategy rather than pure technical requirements. This is why having a solid decision framework is more important than ever. You need to look beyond just the technical specs. Now let's talk SCADA, supervisory control and data acquisition. This one's different because SCADA isn't really competing with PLCs and DCS, it's working with them. SCADA's superpower is handling geographically distributed assets. It gathers data from remote locations, provides operator oversight, and can send commands when needed. But the actual control? That's usually happening at PLCs, RTUs, or even DCS systems in the field. You use SCADA for water treatment systems, oil and gas pipelines, electrical distribution, wind farms, anything where you need to monitor and control equipment spread across a wide area. SCADA gives you that centralized visibility with distributed control. What's interesting is that SCADA is also evolving. Modern SCADA systems are becoming more like information platforms, integrating with business systems, handling mobile access, and providing advanced analytics. It's not just about monitoring anymore. Now, before we get into how to choose between these systems, we need to talk about some game-changing technologies that are reshaping this entire landscape. These weren't even on our radar 10 years ago, but they're now critical factors in your decision. The first big one is edge computing. Think of edge computing as bringing the processing power right to where the action happens, on the plant floor, at remote sites, even inside individual machines. Why does this matter for your PLC versus DCS decision? Because edge computing can give a basic PLC some of the sophisticated capabilities you use to need a full DCS for. Local AI processing, advanced analytics, even predictive maintenance algorithms can now run right at the edge. I've worked on projects where edge computing completely changed our system architecture. Instead of needing a centralized DCS for complex analytics, we could distribute that intelligence throughout the plant. The second game changer is cybersecurity, and this one's not optional anymore. Manufacturing is now the #1 target for cyber attacks. When I started in this business, we worried about hardware failures. Now we worry about hackers shutting down entire production lines. Your choice between PLC, DCS, and SCADA now has to consider security from day one. How easy is it to secure? How do you segment the network? What happens if one system gets compromised? These questions are reshaping how we design control systems. And finally, artificial intelligence and machine learning are getting built into these systems. PLCs can now run AI algorithms for predictive maintenance. DCS systems are incorporating machine learning for process optimization. Even SCADA systems are using AI for anomaly detection. We're also seeing digital twins and advanced analytics becoming standard expectations. These technologies help you simulate processes, predict failures, and optimize operations in ways we never could before. But they also influence whether you need an integrated platform or can manage with modular approaches. All right, with all these moving pieces, traditional capabilities, blurred boundaries, and modern game changers, how do you actually make a decision? Here's my updated framework that accounts for today's reality. I group the decision factors into 5 categories. First, your core control requirements. Yes, this still matters, but it's not just discrete equals PLC, analog equals DCS anymore. You need to ask, what's the complexity of your control strategies? How critical is real-time performance? Do you need advanced process optimization? Second category, your digital transformation and analytics strategy. This is huge now. Are you planning to implement digital twins? Do you need cloud integration? Will you be running AI algorithms for predictive maintenance? Some platforms make this easier than others. Third, cybersecurity and compliance requirements. What regulatory frameworks do you need to meet? How critical is network segmentation? Can you handle the security complexity of connecting to business systems? Manufacturing is the top target for cyber attacks now, so this can't be an afterthought. Fourth category is your infrastructure and ecosystem. What systems do you already have? What skills does your team possess? How much edge computing capability do you need? Sometimes the best technical solution isn't the best practical solution for your specific situation. And fifth, your future roadmap and scalability needs. Where is your industry heading? What new technologies might you need to integrate in 5 years? Will you need to scale up significantly? The pace of change is accelerating, so future-proofing matters more than ever. Here's how this plays out practically. If you need advanced process control with integrated analytics and you're planning digital twin implementation, DCS platforms still have advantages. If you've got straightforward control needs but want flexibility for future AI integration, modern PLCs with edge computing might be perfect. If you're managing distributed assets with serious cybersecurity requirements, you'll likely need SCADA working with hardened PLCs or RTUs, plus a robust cybersecurity framework. And here's the key insight. Many successful implementations now use hybrid approaches. PLCs for local control, edge computing for AI and analytics, DCS for complex process optimization, and SCADA for enterprise visibility. The question isn't always which one, it's which combination. Now let me share the biggest mistakes I'm seeing in 2025, because the landscape is more complex and the stakes are higher. First mistake, choosing based on traditional capabilities alone while ignoring cybersecurity requirements. I've seen projects where they picked the technically perfect solution, but then spent twice the budget trying to make it secure. Manufacturing is now the #1 target for cyber attacks. If your control system choice doesn't consider security architecture from day one, you're setting yourself up for problems. Some platforms are much easier to secure than others, and that should be part of your decision. Second mistake, underestimating the importance of edge computing and AI integration. I've seen companies choose systems that work great today, but can't handle the AI and edge computing capabilities they'll need in 2 years. Then they're looking at costly upgrades or complete replacements. Third mistake, not thinking about digital transformation holistically. You might choose a PLC that handles your control perfectly, but then discover it can't support the digital twin project your management wants next year, or the cloud analytics initiative that's coming down the pipeline. Fourth mistake, ignoring the skills gap. We have a serious shortage of people who understand both modern control systems and cybersecurity. Your choice needs to consider what expertise you can actually find and retain. Sometimes the simpler, more widely understood solution is better than the technically superior one. And the biggest mistake, treating this as a one-time decision instead of an evolving architecture. The pace of change is accelerating. Your control system choice should be part of a flexible, modular approach that can adapt as technologies and requirements change. So here's the reality of choosing control systems in 2025. It's more complex than it used to be, but you also have better options and more flexibility than ever before. The lines between PLC, DCS, and SCADA capabilities are blurring, and new factors like edge computing, AI integration, and cybersecurity are reshaping the decision landscape. Remember the 5 decision categories: your core control requirements, digital transformation strategy, cybersecurity and compliance needs, your existing infrastructure and team capabilities, and your future roadmap. Don't just think about what you need today, think about where you're heading. The good news? You don't have to choose just one system anymore. The most successful modern implementations use hybrid architectures that leverage the strengths of different platforms while addressing cybersecurity, edge computing, and digital transformation requirements. Yes, it's more complex than the old days when you could just say discrete equals PLC, continuous equals DCS. But that complexity also means you can design solutions that are more capable, more secure, and more future-ready than ever before. What's your experience with these modern factors? Are you dealing with cybersecurity requirements that are changing your system choices? Have edge computing or AI integration influenced your decisions? I'd love to hear your stories in the comments. The bottom line: in 2025's industrial landscape, there is no single right answer to the PLC versus DCS versus SCADA question. Success depends on matching technology to your complete set of requirements, including factors that weren't even on the radar a decade ago. I've got an additional resource to help you apply this framework. Check the description for updates. If this helped you navigate the modern landscape of control system selection, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more practical control insights. Until next time, thanks for watching.